Welcome to the Sales Buzz. I'm Rick Ammey, your host for this exciting Brooks Group webinar. Thanks for tuning in. Today's topic is the power of a tough-minded sales team. And I'm here with Bill Brooks, CEO of the Brooks Group. Bill has been a sales consultant for 28 years. He heads the Brooks Group, an international sales and sales management consulting firm based in Greensboro, North Carolina. He has authored, count 'em, 18 books, including 3 national bestsellers. Once again, let's get started. I think this is going to go right to the heart of everybody that's a salesperson, and that is, why is being tough-minded so essential?
Because there is not a tougher profession, Rick, in the world than sales. And the truth is, it can set you up only to put you down. It can be physically demanding. It can be emotionally draining. It can be highly stressful. Yet there is not a profession that looks easier than sales. And it's almost like if someone is a superior performer, it doesn't look like they're doing much of anything. This tough-mindedness hit me one day. I was speaking to a college football team, and the coach had asked me to come out and speak to the team about any lessons that would help them, etc. So here are these boys, 18 to 21 years old, college schedule, tough schedule. And the first guy who had been out there to talk to them had played in the NFL, and he was talking about the hard work ethic and the discipline. And I said, I'm going to take a different tact. Then I started to give some thought to it as it relates to sales. Now think about this for a minute, Rick. One does not have to have played football or any other sport for this to be applicable, but I think it's even more so if you understand that. What I told these kids is that the biggest thing that they learn in college football is to be tough. To be tough. And I'm going to submit to you that not a lot of people are tough. They're not tough enough. I've had a recent experience with some surgery and some recovery. And one of the doctors said to me, at the risk of sounding as if I'm blowing my own horn, he said, "You're one of the toughest people I've ever seen." Well, the name of the game is I learned to be tough. I played football in college, but throughout my entire sales career and my sales management career, to make the tough decisions, to do the tough things, to go back and be resilient after someone has rejected you, to be able to withstand assaults and criticisms, to go several months without any sales, you learn to be not only physically tough, but over a period of time, it goes over to the emotional toughness and the emotional maturity that it takes to be successful.
But what makes some people not tough enough?
I think that you've got people who are risk averse. I think you've got people who are security driven. I think you have some people who don't like to make a decision. And so what happens is they always err on the side of conservatism. I'm going to suggest to you that you get out of life exactly what you put into it. And part of that is, are you willing to hang it out there? Are you willing to go after it? Are you willing to take some risk? Are you willing to put it on the line? Because what I'm going to tell you is, if you can train yourself to do this, you will become a more aggressive salesperson. For example, you will not be afraid to say, okay, they didn't like me, but somebody else did. They didn't buy, but somebody else is out there that's going to buy. All they've done is temporarily put me aside. I'm going to get back in there. I'm going to make this sale. And the problem with most people is that they're somewhat timid for whatever reason.
Well, and this is begging the question, it seems to me, is what's the ideal personality type to be a good salesperson?
Good question. What it really does is it boils down to what they're selling, to whom they're selling it. As you know, Rick, we do job benchmarks here, and we can actually determine what is most critical based on each company's capacities, what they're looking for, and then we can measure candidates against those capacities. But what I'm going to share with you are what I've seen to be, over the years, the most common traits that we've seen. One of the most common traits is that most really strong salespeople, frankly, are driven by financial gain. Okay? They also want to control their own destiny and the destiny of others, and they're theoretically tuned to learning things. In other words, they want to learn new skills, they want to learn new products, how to apply the products, they want to take on new accounts. So here's what it is in a nutshell. They are driven by financial gain and practicality, they want to control their own destiny and the destiny of other people, and they're willing to learn. The other thing we've found out is they don't major in minors. They're not so consumed. I'll give you an example. A lot of people who are salespeople say, I wouldn't want to be an accountant. Well, somebody with that critical, analytical kind of a personality has trouble selling, because what happens is they tend to overanalyze everything. The best, most effective salespeople we've seen are those that are dominant and direct and persuasive, somewhat systematic, but not overly anal, if you will. The other thing is they have the capacity for self-management, goal direction. They can manage themselves, they can manage their time, and they're goal-directed to the point that they want to get after it and get it done. Those have been the most common traits. The other thing I've seen with the most successful people, Rick, is they have what we call emotional maturity. They can bounce back. They're resilient. They're respondent. They don't cast aspersions. They don't blame anyone else. I'll make a real honest appraisal here. I have no time for risk-averse people. Not if we're going to put them in some kind of business, particularly sales.
And I can't imagine why somebody without those personality traits would try to become a salesperson, frankly. It seems to me to run counter to their very personality type. For example, somebody who might be bookish, want to be an accountant, want to be a behind-the-scenes kind of person, I can't imagine why somebody like that would want to be a salesperson to begin with. And yet you were saying on another one of the webinars that you believe that 75% of salespeople probably ought not to be salespeople to begin with.
Yeah, in the first place.
Yeah, right. So why? So what? So are some of these people that have the wrong personality types? I guess they must be getting into the sales.
Well, let me answer that in a couple of ways.
Yeah.
Here's one way. The truth is, self-awareness is not a universal talent. I mean, the truth of the matter is everybody is not as self-aware as those people who spend a lot of time in this kind of thing might think they are. So unless someone analytically measures you to determine what are your values, what are your talents, what are your behaviors, what happens is the old Joe Harry window, you've got a blind spot and you say, well, I and you look for it. It's kind of like a psychic, and you don't know enough about yourself. The second thing is, if they don't know about the sales game, they don't know what it is until they get into it, and then it's too late, and then they're really at a loss. And then some of them say, well, you know what, I'm going to go out and start my own business. Well, if you're going to do that, you better be a salesperson first and a business person second. Because the world's filled full of people who had a great mousetrap that nobody knew it was there.
It seems to me that if you're going to be a successful salesperson, much as that you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, business leader, you've got to burn to want to do this. It seems to me. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah, John Wesley.
You really got to want to do this.
John Wesley said one time, when I am giving a sermon, I'm on fire, and people come to watch me flame. Mm-hmm. The guy was totally passionate about it. You have got to be passionate about sales, or you will not be successful, or as successful as you could be. Now, pay plans have a lot to do with that. If somebody gets this X salary, and it doesn't make any difference what they do, the really good salespeople say, I want to be paid for what I earn. You know what I mean? I want to be able to go do it and then pay me for it. Now, tough-mindedness is critical because of all of the ups and downs you get in sales. Mm-hmm. That's the basic reason for it.